And welcome back to Who Would Win. Because of the pre-release yesterday and because I wasn't feeling very well, I didn't get to doing the Who Would Win yesterday, so I'm just doing two today, and we're going to be evening out for all the Who Would Wins. And this one comes to us from a combination of Savini Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, and Plush Universe, who asked the question, who would win the fight? Jason Voorhees versus the Predator. Now, that was weird. Oh, sorry. I swallowed some split in my mouth, so I wasn't slurring, and I also kind of choked a bit. Now with the Jason, I always use a couple versions of Jason because there's several different versions of Jason. You have the standard continuity Jason, which basically gets us to Jason Goes to Hell, so he's kind of a demon and all that crap. You get Jason X, who's giant cyborg Jason. You get Freddy vs. Jason, which is zombie Jason, and then you get the human Jason from 2009 reboot of Friday the 13th. So that's Jason's I generally use, and then you have the Predator. So just to break this down real quick, the Predators, I believe, is Yajua is the name of the species, or a hunter race. They are hunters, they are warriors, they have an honor code. It depends on which ones you're looking at, but they're generally about in the upper 6 foot to 7 foot range, give or take. They are far stronger than your average individual. Like the one that was manhandling Arnie in the first one, just held him up with one arm, be like just looking straight at him. Like in a straight physical fight, normal people can't go toe to toe with these guys. They probably weigh in at least 200 to 300 pounds, probably, and more or less they're pure muscle. Their speed. I've heard it described that if xenomorphs are kind of like humans in insect form, the predators or the Yajuas are reptilian. Or humans are more reptilian form. They have the mandibles, they have the jaws. Their skin is kind of like ours, but there's also kind of scaly. They have the tendrils. They are hunters and warriors. They are very capable hand-to-hand fighters. They are decked out. They're great strategists and tacticians, hunters, trackers. They are equipped with God knows how much weaponry, including their camouflage, which bends light. Their wrist blades, which they can also shoot out. So even if the blade is like melting, you could shoot it out and basically puncture something. If I'm going to give this Predator as many weapons as I can here, might as well. They have their wrist mounted cannons, which, they just track prey and, blast with plasma. They do wear some armor, but not a lot usually. Their masks can see an infrared, ultraviolet spectrum, the whole 9 yards. They also have... This is where we're getting into some more. I'm going to go with just the movie continuity because if we go into the whole game continuity, we're going to be here forever in the comics. But from the movies, they have the nets that can. I don't know what the nets are made of, but it's alien clearly. That can actually cut through individuals as it's and it squeezes tighter and actually cuts through individuals. I think they're acid etched is their thing, because when in Alien vs Predator, when I think. Lance Hendricks' character, Bishop, Waylon Bishop, he actually tries to pull the net off. It was actually tearing into his gloves. So if nothing else, it's kind of like a garrote wire that's twisting and things along those lines. They also have a spear. They're spears which are made of metal that is unknown to the planet. But lighter, more durable than steel, basically. The shurikens that you see in Alien vs Predator, which are awesome. I love the shurikens. There's also that disc, and in Alien vs. Predator Requiem, we do see the hunter predator, the wolf, I believe they call him, as he's known as, have a chain blade whip that uses and just pulls and just rips things apart, which is really cool. They can also set up a laser grid to contain individuals, so they got a lot of shit to them. Jason Voorhees, we know the story about him. He was a mentally disabled kid, deformed. Was thought to have drowned in Canton Crystal Lake. His mom got revenge. His mom's killed. It turns out he was living as a hermit, and we go from there. So if we go with the standard continuity one, glowing in the Jason goes to hell. Jason is actually a curse, and he's actually possessed, has a demon in him, or he is kind of a demon in his own right. That he can't really die because his spirit will just try to find a new host and possess the new host. You need to be killed by a Voorhees, basically. And when his spirit, when he was killed and blown up by the FBI, is his soul, was able to not possess the coroner, but it influenced the coroner to consume his heart, and then he possessed him, which was really weird. Jason Goes to Hell is a very weird movie. Fun in many ways, but weird. They're all dumb, but fun. At least in my opinion. I'm actually more of a Freddy guy myself, but the Friday the 13th movies are fine. So, he can only be killed by a Voorhees. Well, permanently killed. But that's assuming you're dealing with humans. Aliens could be different in some ways, especially when you're dealing with like predators who probably have honor codes and probably are very strong-willed. Jason was still a physical powerhouse, didn't really feel pain at all, but he was still slow as hell. So he had his machete. He was slow as hell though, so not much you could do. Not a very effective fighter ultimately. Then you go into Jason, Freddy versus Jason. Now, this is the one that people get pissed at me all the time. But this Jason's the only Jason we know that has a legitimate fear, because Freddy exploits that fear of water. Now, it's weird. Now, I do agree, though. It's weird because he's in water half the time anyway. Like, when he goes to Crystal Lake, he's in the water, and it doesn't seem to bother him too much that he's near it or he's in it. But it does seem to bother him, because Freddy uses that against him. I think it's because he was tapping into his memories at that point. So it's weird, but yes, this Jason does have fear to water. That being said, this doesn't really play a factor in this fight, just pointing that out. This Jason is probably a little quicker than the previous Jason. He's also taller if you really look at him. He's got enhanced regeneration. He can just keep fighting, but he's not invincible because Freddy nearly killed him, like legitimately. If you took off his head or blew him up, I'm sure that would work also. As is a machete, he's powerful. He's physically, I think, the second most powerful Jason we've seen. Just because we see him literally just snap a bed in half without effort. So I think he's the second physically most powerful Jason. Then you get Jason X Jason, which is Cyborg or Uber Jason, who is the most powerful physical Jason. Able to tank gunfire, able to... We don't... See, here's the thing. We don't know if he survived that re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. The mask tearing off is supposed to imply that no, he didn't. For all we know, he might have. But it's never truly hinted. It's really never truly indicated if he did or not. But even if he did, he's probably not in one piece. He's probably messed up terribly. But Uber Jason still has a machete. He's insanely powerful, able to rip through metal with no issue whatsoever. Now, even before that, he was still hard to beat. But then he got blown to hell. It took a guy in a spacesuit to go toe-to-toe with him, and even then, it's not like he really beat him in a fight. He just took him and threw him into the atmosphere. So yes, Uber Jason is arguably the toughest of the Jasons. And then you get the human Jason, who is still physically powerful, but he's more or less a giant human. Powerful human, and not dumb per se, because he knows the lay of the land. He knows his lay of the land. He knows Camp Crystal Lake. He knows how to utilize it. And he's got a good perception where people are. Remember when he stabbed that girl in the head underneath the dock? He knew where she was. So he's actually getting quite perceptive. It's just he's more simplistic. He's still like a child in many ways. But the one key difference, he also has like an axe and a hunting knife and things along those lines. But the one key difference that from this Jason that all the other Jasons lack, this Jason literally can run. This Jason is fast. And that's something we don't see in Jason almost ever. So that's the one thing this Jason has over all the other Jasons. So we've got to have our 4 versions of Jason and the Predator. Let's break this down Jason by Jason. We go with the original Jason. The Predator, keeping ear to the ground, hearing, the hearsay from the humans, hears about this killer, and, he goes to find him, and he does track him down. And, Jason is able to pick up something's off and just hear the... And then, he's hunting him, and he blasts Jason... Not the machine gun, but he blasts his arm off, and just like, and he just sees the Predator coming in the tree, and he's walking towards him, slowly but surely, and the Predator just blows a hole through him, and surprisingly, he still gets up a bit, just it's like, and then the Predator even gets down again, and then takes his head off. The problem with this scenario is the Predator would be hunting Jason in this case, and if he's at a tree, Jason's done because he can just snipe him with the plasma caster. However, with this Jason, there is the catch. Would the Predator consume Jason's heart and get possessed by the spirit of Jason. Here's the thing. He would take Jason's head as a trophy, probably. And I think he wouldn't. He wouldn't. I don't see. We know the predators are carnivorous. They do eat meat. That's actually said in the. Though they're actually more omnivorous. They'll eat just about anything. But they do eat meat. We find that in Predator 2. But I don't think they eat. They eat the meat of sentient prey. Like they don't. As far as we know, they don't eat humans. Here's the thing. I don't think, bar any comic proof that says otherwise, that the Predator would be influenced by Jason's spirit the same way a human would be. Because they're just different. They're a different species. Their mentality is different. They're warriors. They have an honor code. They have willpower probably beyond ours in many ways. So, and maybe the technology also kind of... Who's to say... Because that his technology doesn't have a spectrum that can see spiritual things on some minor level. Like, we don't know what spirits are like in terms of how they look in the environment. So, in all fairness, he might be able to see Jason's spirit and be like, nah. So, I'm going to say no. But in that scenario where Jason does, he does consume Jason's heart and then takes on the spirit, would Jason honestly want to be anything other than the Predator at that point? He's got all these cool gadgets. He's got these weapons. He's buff as hell. Who knows? Okay, move on to zombie Jason. This Jason would be a little bit trickier, I think, because this Jason is physically stronger. The Predator, tries to shoot him, and maybe he actually misses, and Jason throws maybe something at the Predator. The Predator has to avoid it. And then the Predator actually decides to face off with this Jason, just does the whole roar thing, and Shing gets his blade out, and Jason's just ready. And then he slowly walks over, and then now in close quarters, Jason's actually pretty fast when he's using his machete, and they go toe to toe. Now the blades clash, and for a while it's kind of even, but the alien blade's metal is tougher than Earth steel. It's tougher than Earth metal, so it just eventually cuts through Jason's blade. But Jason grabs the Predator and probably just punches him straight a couple feet away, and the Predator gets back up, and then he just charges Jason, and he throws Jason back. Now, Jason's not used to someone who's physically as strong or stronger than he is, so they actually duke it out for a bit. Ultimately, though, it's the Predator who wins because he also has plenty other weapons on call, and he just pulls out his spear and just skewers Jason. But Jason just starts doing that to which the Predator then just throws a shuriken and takes his head off. So zombie Jason, I think, fares a little bit better than standard continuity. Jason. Then we move on, but he still loses. Then we move on. We'll skip Uber Jason because clearly that's going to be the best chance Jason has to win a fight here. Human Jason is the wild card here because he can actually move fast. He can actually run. There's no indication that say that Jason couldn't run to begin with. He just didn't. Maybe he just didn't care. Maybe he just didn't feel like he needed to. Maybe he's just a dick. I don't know. But Jason, he's got enough awareness surroundings that he can sense something's off, and he kind of sees that something's a distortion, and the Predator notices that he's looking at him, and they stare at each other. And then he pulls out. He also has a crossbow on him too. He does have that, so he uses that, fires it at the Predator, and the Predator just kind of pierces him. Get that roar, and the roar just fires the bowcaster at him, but he's actually the plasma caster at him, but he's actually able to get out of the way, and he fires another crossbow at him, and the Predator just kind of spats that way, pulls out the other one, and then he throws a shuriken at him, slices his shoulder, but he's still generally good, pulls out an axe, throws the axe, the Predator just kind of boom, kicks it away, but he still gets it a little bit in bed, so he just throws it away. And then they're just and Jason then pulls out his machete, just shing, and even gets out the hunting knife. And make sure to have the machete in the good hand, obviously, a good arm, because the other one's kind of nicked at this point. Got the hunting knife, got that like that there, and the Predator just pulls up, roars, gets the blade ready, and just roar. And even Jason's like, what? And then they go toe to toe, and they just ching. Now, because he's got a short blade in the other hand, he's actually able to get legitimate shots into the Predator while avoiding the main blade with his machete. Granted, the Predator's machete is still made of, or Predator's blade is still made of tougher metal than the machete, so it's starting to wear the machete down after a couple hits. But they're strong enough to go toe to toe with each other for a while. He's getting some stabs into the Predator, but the Predator quickly just throws, blocks a blade, throws off, and just boom, lands a shot in on Jason. Throws the disc that he has on him at Jason. Basically takes off the hunting arm. Jason's just, because he's human still. This Jason's not supernatural as far as I know. He's just human. And then he just throws the blade at him and just actually lands in the Predator's chest enough. It's like it's not just hanging out there. He's just and he comes in again, and they kind of just tackle each other and just punch each other for a while, and then the Predator just slams the blade right into him, and just comes in and rips him right up to the sternum, but saves the head because he wants that trophy, and just throws him on the ground. So I actually have to give human Jason a lot of credit because he's got speed and reaction time on his side compared to the other two. He stands a much better shot at killing the Predator than the other two do. But I still think the Predator wins that fight. Though this one does have a chance to win a couple versions. Then we move on to Uber Jason. So let's assume that a Predator, a Yacht ship, lands on that ship that's going on. They counter a Predator. A couple of Yachts even get taken out by Uber Jason. So we get the main Predator with all of his weapons. He's like the head honcho Predator in this case. Versus Jason. And he's actually looking at him, and he sees the down Predators, and he blasts Jason with the plasma caster. And I think plasma energy would hurt or damage Jason, but nowhere near enough to put him down. Like, you see the metal he's made of is like crackling and kind of like bubbling and melting a bit, but he's walking toward it. He's getting hit and starting to wear at him. But eventually he gets close enough to the Predator to try to stab him. He hits the plasma caster instead, or slash it on whatever. It's the plasma caster instead, and the Predator just gets his blade out and starts attacking him. But they normally probably wouldn't even hurt Jason or just lightly slash him, but because he's melted off some of the metal and still hot and malleable, he's getting deep cuts in on him, but it's nowhere near enough to kill Jason. Jason just throws the blade at him. He slashes at the Predator. Predator disappears into the dark, but Jason's actually able to pinpoint him out, and the Predator quickly realizes this, so he throws some shurikens. They bounce off him, throws the disc, bounces off him. So now the Predator's got a problem. Now he's coming at Jason's coming after him, and he can't physically take on Jason. I think Jason's actually physically more powerful here. So he's going toe to toe again, but he's getting more and more damage. He's still able to avoid. Throws a net at Jason, which does bind to a wall, is squeezing against Jason. The metal's starting to cool now, so he can't get as much damage in on him. But it's still kind of grinding. It's actually starting to meld into his flesh a bit. But as the metal cools, it kind of just stops midway and just stuck. So he can't. So Jason does get off there, but he's always got this weird net attached to him, like fused with his body. So now he can't do it. What is he gonna do with this? So now the Predator can actually take advantage of that because it's bound to him. The Predator then comes in, grabs the net, and Jason tries to grab him, but he just throws Jason down on the ground, and then pulls out his spear, tries to stab him in the back, but it's just not working. Jason grabs him, throws him to the ground. He gets back up. They get back up again. Throws a spear at him. Nothing still. It just bounces off and just on the ground. He picks up his machete once again and is like ready to kill him. Predator pulls out one last trick. Grabs the whip blade, or bladed whip, grabs it around him, tries to squeeze, and Jason's now just following towards him. But he's noticing that the few bits of flesh he still has, it is grinding into him, so he goes instead, undoes the whip, and grabs it on his non-metal leg and non-metal limb, because he's had only a couple of those. Non-metal leg, takes off his foot, is barely able to, but he does it. Jason's now kind of hobbling a bit, but he's still able to come at him. The Predator then quickly jumps, let's say the spear's embedded in the wall, does like some sort of running jump, and then gets him right behind the head, which still clearly had some flesh on it, that way they designed it. And ends him. Here's why the Predator pretty much wins every scenario, though there's clearly scenarios where Jason could have won. The human Jason and Uber Jason stand the best chance of doing it. Jason goes to hell. Jason, too slow. Predator would just try to hunt him because that's how they'd probably find out. He'd probably find out about Jason, and he would just snipe Jason from a distance. And I don't think the whole spirit possessing would affect the Predator, just because different physiology, different mentality, might even be able to see things with his tech. We don't know. Zombie Jason, the fares a little better. He's stronger. He's got better regeneration. But a Predator ultimately would just overwhelm him with the amount of tech he has, amount of weapons, and actual fighting ability. Human Jason is fast and actually has a couple more extra weapons on him, like a knife, like an axe, like a crossbow. So he actually stands a better shot against the Predator because he's faster and quicker to react, and has actually a better idea of his surroundings a lot of time than what we saw some of the other Jasons do. So if one of them were to, if he might get like a 5% win, so he does stand a better chance, but the Predator ultimately is still just physically stronger, better skilled, better equipped, more of a hunter. And then Uber Jason. Uber Jason is the one that I almost would give the majority, but I'm going to give the majority of it or the Predator due to still having far more tech. I'd probably be able to spam the plasma cannon enough that he'd pretty much melt away some of the metal and superheat it enough to the point where he would be able to do some damage on Jason. And then he just has enough physical strength to not match Jason, because I think Jason is stronger, but survive Jason, and enough skill and tech to ultimately overwhelm and beat Jason. That's where I think it lies, is that he does ultimately win in the fight due to his skill as a hunter and his tech. But what do you think? You think Jason wins all these, actually? Or do you think Predator just handles him completely? Or do you think it's a different mixed match than I made it? Or mishmash, mixed match. Take your pick of phrasing. Anyway, let me know in the comments below, but thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Ideas for would win, Star Wars, Super Magic, what if, anything you can do on the channel. Put that in the comments below as well. I'll get to that at some point. So I'll be back a little later with a few more videos. I got to put this computer on the charger right now. It's nearly out of battery power, and I've only done 3 videos. Till then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.